Hey classmates, I'm Kat.
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and each teach a lesson we can't teach at school. What are we drinking, Hayley?
We are drinking Underwood. It is a Pinot Noir, Oregon grown. It is a 2019 13% alcohol, and it is a bottle. Like we said, we are being sponsored and partnered with High Point Grocery here in Memphis, and they helped us choose our special wines every single week. This Underwood has notes of cherry, blackcurrant, which I looked up, it's just a berry, and forest floor. Ooh. Which I also had to look up because I tasted it before I actually started drinking it. And I personally did not get hints of forest floor. So I was like, what does forest floor mean? Apparently it means wet earth / kind of like a dirt fragrance.
Like musty.
Yeah, kind of like mushrooms growing / dew in the morning.
Interesting. I mean, I'm sure a trained nose would get it, but this wine is very like light and refreshing. It doesn't read as forest floor to me.
Oh yeah, it doesn't even practically feel like I'm drinking alcohol. It could just very well be grape juice for all I know.
But it's not like super sweet. Like to me, I don't know. I feel like it's the perfect wine for like a hot summer day for someone who doesn't like white wine. You can have a red, but it's still like light and breezy. I don't know. It's like, it's very crisp. I'm a fan.
Yeah, that's a great description. And after eating Impossible burgers for dinner, I'm not feeling super weighed down by this wine in addition to the Impossible burger.
Pairs well with Burger King.
Pairs well with everything, in my opinion.
Pairs well with a dried out burger and stale buns from our neighborhood Burger King. But yeah, so we are very grateful to High Point for supplying us with this gorgeous wine. If you are in Memphis, you can head to 469 High Point Terrace and pick up a bottle of this gorgeous wine for $12.99. It is located in East Memphis and they are fantastic. So definitely check it out.
Enjoy.
Yeah. So I haven't seen you actually that's a lie. I saw you a lot on Monday and Tuesday and then I haven't seen you.
Yeah, I've been just away at Tommy's house.
Hiding.
I have, hiding from my crazy ass roommates.
Yeah.
They never shut up. They're so loud.
We
They
leave
eat my
our
food.
dishes in the sink. Mm-hmm. We eat all your food. We can't stomp on your ceiling because you're on the second floor, but we definitely throw our shoes at the ceiling just to annoy you.
Yeah, that's why I was working out for the first time in 2 years the other day. You texted me like, are you home or what are you doing up there?
All I heard, were you doing like jumping jacks or something? Because it was like banging. Okay. Yeah. I never heard Hayley come home. I thought I was alone in the house. And then I just hear like a banging coming from like the floor above me. And that's where the ghost lives, is in her room. And so I was like,
you're like, oh no, it's happening. It's happening.
It's happening. But then I texted her and it was her. But I also thought I heard whistling the other day in my bathroom, which is where Alec heard it one time, right? That's where you heard it. And I was like, yes, it's happening. I'm going to be prepared and record it this time. And then as soon as I was like trying really hard to hear it, it went away.
Ooh, a shy ghost.
Yeah.
Well, I smelled the old man smell upstairs this morning. Not this morning, this afternoon.
Yeah.
So he's around.
He's around. We need to pull out the Ouija board again in our house for sure.
Yeah, we should. We should do a weekly check-in.
Yeah, we should just do it tonight. We're planning on filming a Night Creepy tomorrow and we want to go to a location. There's we have some ideas of various
We've been planning
places.
things.
Yes, we've been planning things. So we're going to film like an official Night Creepy for Patreon tomorrow, but we should just fuck around with the Ouija board tonight in our house.
Yeah, get it warmed up.
Yeah. We were talking, it'd be fun.
What?
Before we left the house, we were talking about how fun it would be to play hide and seek tonight, like drunk hide and seek. What if we do the Ouija board and then play hide and seek and we're like extra scared playing hide and seek?
As much fun as that sounds, I'm too baby.
Really? I feel like the fun part of hide and seek is being scared.
Okay, I might do it. Check back in with me when we get home because that does sound scary. Because I know there's something in our house
for sure, and we can make the attic in limits,
and then that's just gonna open up opportunities for other people to scare us.
Like
who? I could definitely see Tommy like coming around the corner and be like and like scaring us.
I could see him trying that, but also Tommy's the least scary person I've ever seen in my life. I don't think he could.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we'll let you guys know if we do end up playing Ouija board / hide in the dark.
Ouija board, hide and seek.
Hide and seek.
Really fun.
I said hide in the dark. I guess it's the same thing. Kat last time wanted to play with the lights on, but everyone else is like, lights off.
Yeah, you introduced me to lights off hide and seek. I never did it that way.
Oh,
but I like
better.
it.
Yeah.
It is better. Yeah. Especially like playing hide and seek as an adult is hard because it's hard to hide when you're huge and unflexible. So the dark helps. That's true. Hayley, for some reason, is the hide and seek champion of the world, and it's not fair.
It's all I did as a kid.
You're just playing that by yourself. You're just hiding in the closet.
Yeah, it was either that or make mud pies as an Amish woman.
What I did, I don't want to say walk-in closet because it wasn't, but it was like one of those closets that's like big enough to walk inside of, and then you have like your like racks that are like a step-in closet. Yeah. And I had got one of those when I was in 5th grade, and I thought it was like a cool walk-in closet. Like, cause that
sounds cool.
It was cool. And I put a bench in it, and my mom, she was like, you can draw on the walls. And so I had Sharpies and I could just color on the walls of my closet. It was so fun.
That's amazing. In our crawl space underneath the stairs in the basement, our parents lined it with all poster board and let us do the same thing. Also, I had the same thing, and not even like a step in, like you just open it and the racks were there. Mm-hmm. But I took the racks out because for some reason I thought I wanted to put all of my clothes in my dresser, and then I put my dresser in my closet.
That's smart. And then you can still hang clothes above your dresser.
Yeah, it didn't really work out. It was like an unmaintainable system.
I see.
So
that's too bad.
It was short-lived. Yeah, really bad. But now I have 2 closets. So
yeah, now she's bougie. You actually have 3 closets because you also have the one in the hallway.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Got all the closets. You also have a creepy baby closet.
Yeah, they're both little baby closets.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a little creepy. You have to bend down a little bit.
Yeah, it's like an elf closet. And then meanwhile, me and Alec have like an entire second bedroom that's a closet. It's huge. It's like the biggest closet I've ever seen.
Must be nice.
Yeah, it is pretty nice. Except also like we get fleas in our closet because it's basically outside and has no insulation. So that's not great. I don't want anyone to think we're bougie because we're not.
The only downside is we get a couple fleas every other day.
We need to buy another flea bomb. What a fun life we lead.
Such fun. Such fun. The most eventful thing I think that happened to me this week was I found a TikToker who does tutorials on Sims 4 stuff and cheats.
Do you have Sims?
I do. Yeah, I still do.
I want to play your Sims.
Okay.
Can we make all of ourselves out of Sims and put them in a house together?
Oh my God.
That'd be so fun.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
That sounds really fun. I don't know if it's officially downloaded on my laptop, but I know I have it and I can get it downloaded onto wherever we need it.
We have to do that now that I'm off the Animal Crossing train. I need a new game.
That literally lasted a week.
It's not as fun as I thought it was going to be. I really wanted to like it so bad, and I did like it, but like I have this other game called Stardew Valley that I love, and it's kind of like the same like peaceful world type of game, and I find Stardew Valley so much more stimulating. I don't know.
I feel like you have to know people who also have Animal Crossing for you to be able to enjoy it, because they're the ones who can give you things like the ladder that seems so essential.
Well, I have the ladder. Like I don't know.
I've never played, so I'm just speaking out of my ass.
I also don't like I like doing like little like quests and farming food and stuff on Stardew Valley, whereas like Animal Crossing is more about like designing it and designing your island and making it look pretty, which I'm not super into. I don't know. I'm not trying to shit on Animal Crossing. I'm just saying I need a new game, so I'm excited.
Let
about
me play
the
your
Sims
Animal
prospect.
Crossing.
You
because
can.
That sounds phenomenal.
Yeah. All I pretty much use my Switch for anymore is like Mario Kart in the living room, and I know people like want to kill me for that. I'm sorry.
I've never wanted to kill you for that.
Well, I wasn't talking about you, but yeah, you can play my Animal Crossing. My
Okay.
Switch is in the living room, untouched,
Sweet.
covered in dust.
A
So
little switcheroni.
Oh, switcheroo. I see what you did there. Oh yeah, I only have like one more thing. I felt bad last week, like saying the gifts like you and Alec and my dad got me and not mentioning what my mom got me because it hadn't come in the mail yet. And she got me like some stuff that I don't think you guys care about, but like she sent me all my gifts wrapped inside of a caboodle and that was filled with like these little like sticky rubber slugs. So she sent me slugs in a caboodle, and that was
so
pretty funny.
perfect.
Yeah. Throwback to what was that, like episode 40 or something.
Yeah, and you could probably really use a caboodle.
Oh yeah, because I've gotten into powder dip because she got me a powder dip nail set for Christmas, and then the main gifts for my birthday, like she got me some games and books and stuff, but then she got me like more like powder dip and like more nail tools, and then I put it all in the caboodle, so it's perfect.
All your slugs and your nail stuff together.
Yeah.
In the caboodle. What more could a girl want?
Nothing else. That's all that I need. We should really like make our house into a nail salon because Hayley got a bunch of nail shit too. Yeah, we can.
We're quitting. We're quitting teaching. We're going to go to
freelance
school.
a nail salon. My nails are fucked up right now because yesterday I was like, they could be shinier. And so I put another coat of gloss on them. And then Ernie immediately jumped on my lap. And without thinking, I just started petting him and got cat fur all glued up in my nails. So that's really cute.
That's like the day this summer when Safety accidentally got his foot closed in the door by the wind. That day I had painted my nails, and right before he had his foot shut in the door, I got into bed because I was like, oh, I'm a little tired. And then not only was my cat damaged, but my nails were all messed up.
Which is worse? I don't know.
Hard to say. The cat was more expensive.
I'm sure that's been an expensive cat so far between that and the stomach issues.
I know. Thank God I got insurance. Like I would highly recommend. Otherwise, I would be out over $2,000 had I not paid for insurance for Safety.
I need to do
which
that.
is insane.
Yeah, that isn't. Pets are expensive, man.
Yeah.
You think you're getting a cat. You think it's just a glorified rat that'll just live in your house and won't cost you anything, but they're fucking expensive.
You think they're going to ignore you, but no. Yeah. They sit on your face at 3 a.m. You think they're going to ignore you, but then they scratch you to hell and back.
They start screaming every day at 2 p.m. sharp until their dinner time, which is at 5, and don't leave you alone. And I worked from home today, and oh my God. Like they were fine all day. They were like laying on the floor. Sometimes they'd get on my lap. And then as soon as 2 p.m. hit, they just started like purring and meowing and jumping on me and my laptop and clawing on the wall. I had to like apologize to my students and like yell at my cat and grab him because he got on his hind legs and was like scratching the wall so hard, and it sounded horrible, like nails on the chalkboard, and he kept doing it, and then Ernie started copying him and doing it too.
What if someone else was in the house and they're like, I heard the ghost?
Yeah, my students were probably so confused. And also I didn't like get dressed to work from home because I was like, no one's gonna see me from the waist down, so I was wearing like leggings. And which that is not that bad, but like,
oh yeah, I wear leggings,
but like
from home.
You don't wear leggings. At least like at my school, we're expected to wear like business clothes all the time. So I was business up top, leggings on the bottom, and my students saw my leggings a couple times when I got up and grabbed the cat.
Comfy casual.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they gonna do? You're a teacher during a pandemic.
They're not gonna do anything. Like nobody would care, but it was just like, not the best.
You get an email on Tuesday that's like RE : leggings while working at home.
The kids saw your panty line, you're fired. Well, yeah, so that was a fun time. We got a new breathalyzer.
Oh yeah, we did. I told Kat, this actually feels good to hold. It feels nice and sturdy, and it actually told us what our blood alcohol levels were.
Yeah, it seemed accurate. It seemed good. I blew a 0.07.
I blew a 0.08.
Yeah. And so Hayley's going to go first, and I'm going to kick back and finish my wine.
Sit back, relax. Okay. So I'm going to start this lesson out with a few questions. First of all, when was the first time you ever interacted with a meme?
Oh man, what meme was it? I made a meme about how my friend Desi had like a bunch of Red Bull cans in her room, and about how she thinks she's cool because she drinks Red Bull. And I made it and posted it on her Facebook wall, and I thought it was so funny. I don't remember the format, but it was a very primitive meme.
The rush one gets when creating a meme. Yeah. Alec like cranks out 70 memes a week.
Yeah.
I am a meme maker.
Okay, well, how would you describe what a meme is to a time traveler?
Ooh, that's hard. It's like a picture that everyone recognizes, but like usually only in the context of like the meme format. Mm-hmm. So like there's like a joke that relates to the picture, and there's like a format to the joke. Like it's like a saying.
What do you mean? I literally don't know.
You don't know what I mean?
Like there's a format to the picture. There's a format to the joke.
Well, like the meme where there's that anime guy and the butterfly, and he's like, "What's this?" Mm-hmm. And the butterfly is like a pickup truck. It's like, "Is this toxic masculinity?" Like there's like a format of the joke.
Oh, that interaction within the picture. Okay. Yeah.
Like there's a sentence structure to the meme.
Yeah, there's like the picture and there's the caption.
Mm-hmm. And the caption like relates to the picture, and the picture becomes more associated with the meme than whatever it was from originally. And then you kind of just like mix up the joke by substituting words. And if it relates to something and like that's like very relevant that week, even better.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So the reason why I bring that up is because we are going to be talking about what historians believe was the first meme ever.
Fun.
And it is not that like creepy dancing baby. I don't know if you remember that video, but it's like a naked animation baby like dancing.
No.
Do you remember, or like the hamster dance song? The one that's like da-da-dee-da-dee-da-do-do.
Oh God, yeah. That song just makes me think of like ice skating rinks. Or not even ice skating, roller skating rinks.
Oh, what I would do to go to a roller skating rink.
I would do anything to avoid a roller skating rink.
And this is where the friendship peters off.
Yeah. Bye.
But anyway, those were like some older memes, like when the internet was first getting popular in like the 2000s or so. But the first meme was actually thought to be born around 1945, 1946. So right around World War II. And in my opinion, it's quite possibly the most and only cheerful thing about World War II. But it is this thing called Kilroy. Kilroy was here, and it can be seen even today all over bathrooms, walls, desks. And for a long time, people were like, where did this come from? And researchers and scholars have been wondering the same exact thing. So there's been a lot of research done into figuring out where Kilroy came from. And I'll also go into what makes a meme and how this particular character or cartoon is a meme. But in World War II, soldiers kept seeing the same image pop up over and over again. It didn't matter if it was on a wall, fence, bathroom. Like I said, it was this image that I'll show you right now. If you could.
Ew, that's creepy. It's like a black background, and then it looks like it's almost like drawn in chalk. Like it's like white and kind of shaky. it's like a wall, and then there's like a little guy peeking over it, and he has like a long nose like Squidward, and he's got his little fingers over the wall, and then just like dots for eyes, and it says, and his nose is hanging over the wall, and it says Kilroy was here.
Perfect. Oh, I knocked my microphone. That is not actually his nose. It is his penis. It was the first initial U up text.
Can I see it again?
I'm just kidding. It's not.
Oh, okay. I was like, how? It's coming off of his face.
Yes, this is the first meme and also the world's longest documented peni.
I was listening to the Bananas podcast the other day, and they were talking about this like kids cartoon. It's like Dutch or something, and it's about like the character, and he has a giant penis that like helps him like do things. Like they use it as like a jump rope, and say like he like in one episode like balloons get tied to it and carry him away, and it's like literally like a popular kid show.
Ooh, how in the world did that get made?
That's what I'm wondering. I think in Europe, like they just don't sexualize body parts the way we do here. And so it's like, okay.
They're like, man, we really need to do something about all these insecure men with large penises. It starts in childhood.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, they need to do something for all the guys with micro penises and have the character like use it for chopsticks or I don't know what.
What if the micro penis had like googly eyes on it and it was just like his little pet?
Yeah, he had a pet inchworm or something. And then like when they were studying the letter I, he whipped it out and the teacher was like, yes, inchworm, letter I. We've got it all scripted out. They started it, but we're going to finish it.
They don't know what they're missing. We're going to be hired on writers at that show within 2 months.
That is what I want to manifest.
Oh, me too. Can you imagine a better job?
I want to write inappropriate children's shows. Yes, that is what I want.
That sounds really fun. And then QAnon will come after you and call you a pedophile.
Or QAnon will completely flip the switch and be with us.
How?
I don't know. They're fucking crazy.
QAnon loves Hayley. You guys don't even understand.
Shut up.
And Hayley loves
No, they don't. You refer to episode, I don't even know it, but I did a whole lesson on what QAnon was and is.
Crazy bitches.
Crazy bitches. Well, anyway, back to the lesson. That's like when you're in class and you get the teacher distracted and get them to like talk about their lives and act so interested. They're like, oh, you have 3 cats? And you're like, yeah, you want to see them?
That's the easiest way.
They're just doing it
in my room.
Yeah. Doing it to butter us up.
Yep.
Here's a few more pictures of the Kilroy was here cartoon / graffiti.
Okay.
Photographed throughout the war. So it's on the side of like this, I think, helicopter. I think it is. It's on a wall.
And was that showing up to American soldiers?
It was initially, but it was not just witnessed by American soldiers. That's a perfect transition. It started showing up in countries all over the world, even Axis powers territory. So as soldiers saw that Kilroy had been there, this bald-headed guy started gaining popularity pretty rapidly. Everyone seemed to know Kilroy. And so soldiers started making everywhere they went a place that Kilroy also went. So they would tag wherever they were with the Kilroy was here, and then they'd draw the picture of him. So it's rumored that tagging Kilroy on these places became sort of a game for the soldiers. And I mean, you know, there's only so much to do during World War II. You gotta fucking fight the Nazis and
right. Also, it's like a very wholesome graffiti. Like they could have easily drawn boobs all over everything and they didn't.
Right. I think we have really seen a change in the content of graffiti over the years because this guy's just peering over a fence, but now everything is phallic. So I don't know what that says about humanity. Also, there are children's shows about penises now. So
apparently,
I don't know what to say. But the whole game was that the more bizarre of the place that they could tag with the Kilroy was here, the better. So it is tagged on the Marco Polo Bridge in China. It is at the Unknown Soldier Memorial in France. It is at the top of the George Washington Bridge in New York. And there are even rumors that it has been in the, I don't even know what you call it, like the dirt on the moon, that one of the astronauts put it up there.
That's cool.
Yeah. It has also been etched into the World War II memorial twice. And other places that it's rumored that the Kilroy was here is that it is at the tip of the flame of the Statue of Liberty. So it was sweeping the nation, and it quickly became an inside joke with soldiers. They were like, either he's already been here and he's leading the way. It was kind of like he's this amazing GI soldier and he's just like someone to look up to. And whenever they saw that Kilroy had been there, they felt comforted. Because he had been there and he had led them to that place and he had started to take care of things. So even if they got to a place and saw that Kilroy had not been there yet, it was still their chance to tag that Kilroy had been there.
Yeah. For like the next group of soldiers so that they can become, another group has passed through.
And the thing
That's
that they
nice.
would do if they were the ones to write it is that they would pretend that it wasn't them who had written it. They'd be like, guys, look, Kilroy was here.
Guys,
it's Kilroy. It's really Kilroy. That's like me when my parents fucking photoshopped Santa into our motion detector cameras when I stopped believing in Santa to get me to get back on the Santa train.
Did it work?
Yeah, it was highly convincing. I mean, that's like what my dad does for a job.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it got me through 6th grade. But then by 7th grade, I was like, I just can't.
Yeah.
This is too much.
Yeah. I remember vividly like being in the locker room in 6th grade around Christmas and someone was talking about how Santa wasn't real. And I was just like, that makes sense. But also I'm not ready to admit it.
Yeah, I'm not ready to let go of that. I thought that I would have to wait until I was a grown adult and moved out of the house to find out if Santa was real or not.
To me, I think it was just like he was real and then he wasn't. Like I don't know like if there was ever any like speculation, but my mom did tell me that like as soon as you have kids, you get Santa's phone number. And so like whenever we were being bad around the holidays, she would call Santa and tell on us.
Wow. Tattletale.
Yeah.
My parents would threaten the same exact thing. It's kind of funny to see how parents fall to that like response as a consequence just right around the holiday season.
Right.
But it's like they never talk about Santa in May.
Yeah, it's less of a threat in May because you're like, well, I have time to be good.
Yeah, I've ground makeup.
Yeah.
You have to pace yourself.
Right. And also like that's such a probably like a frowned upon parenting strategy, like an imaginary threat. But it's so effective. And like when you're at the end of your rope, now you suddenly have a button to push that makes your kid shut the fuck up.
Yeah, every kid wants to be visited by Santa Claus. And it's really funny. I follow this mom on Instagram, and this Christmas, I guess she lost their elf. Like she couldn't find it in storage, and it was like 5 days into December, and she's like, I still haven't found this dang elf. And they like don't have them at Target. I don't know what I'm going to do. So yeah, there are definitely downfalls to that type of imaginary consequence system.
Man. Elf on the Shelf is something I'll never do for my kids. It just seems like too much work.
Yeah, I like the cute things. I like to see the Facebook post about cute things people do.
Yeah.
Like freezing them in
people's
ice and that type of stuff. I'll probably be a semi-extra mom. I'm not
I
gonna lie.
can see you being an extra mom.
Yeah.
And my kids will be like on the wearing no clothes, rolling around like in ground up cereal on the carpet with a dog licking their faces. And
I'm gonna be like, hey guys, you want to come to Aunt Hayley's house?
I'll just give you my children.
I look forward to that day.
You can have them.
I'll raise them and give them back as long as I get something in return. I don't know. Make me some of your HelloFresh.
Okay, there you go.
Well, anyway, So at this point in the learning journey, Kilroy was everywhere. And so now I don't know about you, but I was left with a question like, how did this start anyway? Where did we get Kilroy? Who is Kilroy? There is no definitive answer, but there are several theories, and the most popular one involves this guy, James Kilroy. He worked at Bethlehem Steel Company shipyard in Quincy, Massachusetts. And at the shipyard, they worked on building battleships. And his job was to inspect them as they were being built. And some people thought that Kilroy was, I don't know what they thought he was doing, whether they thought he was just fucking around or not doing his job, but they were like, Kilroy, are you even doing your job? Like, are you even inspecting anything? So he got really mad because he had been inspecting them. But that day, as he's climbing out of a manhole, he angrily, after hearing this accusation, scribes in yellow pencil, Kilroy was here on that ship part. Okay. And then that's what he started doing from there on out. So every section of battleships and whatever else went through that yard that he inspected got a Kilroy was here in yellow crayon.
Okay, that makes sense. And then you just add a little character to it. And
and we'll get to how those two get conjoined.
Okay.
But the men working on the ships were also men who ended up being drafted for World War II. So, after just being in the shipyard and seeing Kilroy was here everywhere, and then being on the actual ship as a soldier and seeing Kilroy was here in places, they didn't know what it was all about, but they knew it was there. They knew that they liked it and saw it all the time.
They knew they liked it.
Yeah. And so like we talked about before, that's just that just results in it going worldwide. And Kilroy was an inside joke among American soldiers. So when one of Hitler's commanders during the war brought this to Hitler's attention, they were like, hey, Hitler, Mr. Hitler. Mr. Hitler. So yeah, how do they refer to
Herr Hitler, probably?
Herr Hitler, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But they brought it to his attention. They're like, there's a bunch of American artifacts and things that we've recovered here, and a lot of them say Kilroy was here with this little guy on them. We don't know what it means, but
isn't he cute?
He's so cute. But also he might be a little threatening. Let us know what you think. We just thought that you should know about it. And so Hitler decided that Kilroy must be this superior super soldier of the American army and military.
What if people started in the future thought Pepe the Frog was our leader?
That might be better than our current. Actually, by the time this comes out,
oh yeah,
45 will not be.
How exciting.
President.
I wonder if the whole world will be getting bombed.
I know.
I wonder what crazy things are happening. Hopefully nothing crazy. Hopefully we're just passing a stimulus package right now and
give me the money.
Got some moving boxes going in.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Some dogs.
Yeah, some dogs.
Yeah. So Joe Biden will be our president. Pepe, maybe in the future, they'll think was our president. That's not making sense. You're looking at me like, what?
I was just spacing out. I was like, what if someone hadn't listened to our White House Pets episode and thought we were referring to Biden and Kamala as dogs? I was like, this might sound really bad.
That is not the case. We are Biden and Kamala supporters.
Yeah.
I'm a dog. I'm no bitch.
Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. I looked like I clearly wasn't paying attention.
I'm glad that was the case and that you weren't just like, what the fuck is she talking about? No. Well, anyway, Hitler was like, we've got to get onto this Kilroy. So it's rumored that he assigned some of his best men to find this Kilroy character. Also, there's a little story about Joseph Stalin. So Kilroy was constantly graffitied onto bathroom stalls. And it's rumored that he even showed up in this VIP bathroom that was available to attendees of the Potsdam Conference post World War II. And when Stalin went to use this restroom and then he came out, he had seen Kilroy in there, and an American translator heard what he was saying to one of his like advisors, and apparently he was going off about like, who is this Kilroy person? We need to find out what's going on, like just all up in arms and like freaked out about who Kilroy was. So how did this become a meme? The first time that a meme was ever defined as a concept was in 1976 by an evolutionary biologist named Richard Dawkins. And he describes it as kind of similar to how our DNA genes can be passed on, they can be replicated, they can evolve, and they can mutate. And a meme is defined as a unit of cultural information spread by imitation. So just like you said, the basic format of a meme is a picture, but the caption of it can be related to something that happened that week. It can be exchanged and changed and evolve over time. And I really like when you said that the initial source of the picture in memes oftentimes gets so far detached from what it was initially that it just becomes that meme. Like that picture of the woman yelling and the cat is like, I have no idea what that is even from, but people are like making art.
Yeah, it's amazing.
What is it from?
I don't know. I think the woman might be a Real Housewives person.
Okay.
I don't know though. I don't
It's
know where
really-
the cat's from.
We all know what it is,
Yeah,
though, right?
Yeah.
And so in the 21st century, we get internet memes, and these are spread by email, website, especially social media. But Dawkins doesn't really like that modern memes are called memes because he thinks it's not an accurate representation of memes as a concept.
Well, where did meme come? Where did the word come from?
I think it's, if I'm remembering correctly, it's like Greek for imitation.
Okay. Remember when people used to be confused about if you say it meme or mimi?
Yes. I thought it was definitely Mimi.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't know. I remember getting Twitter when I was in like 8th grade, and like I felt like I was walking on eggshells because I didn't know. I wanted to refer to these funny things that I saw, but I didn't know what to say. Just like GIF and GIF.
Yeah.
Memes for life. Yeah, what if they just told Dawkins, like, no, this is not a meme. This is a meme.
It's a meme. Oh, I wish there was like an internet conspiracy that like changed it all for us. And then we wake up tomorrow and it's cool to call them memes.
Me too.
It's much cuter.
It is. It's like a grandma name, but we should turn it into an internet sensation.
Yeah, we should. If you're listening, start calling memes memes. We think it would be cute.
Yeah, we're starting a thing. We're going to make Mimi happen. Well, anyway, let's talk about how the image of this long-nosed bald guy actually gets attached to Kilroy was here. So it originated from two other images. The first one was called Chad, and this was in Great Britain. It was made by cartoonist George Chatterton. Great name. I love that name so much. And this guy, Chad, just basically looked like Kilroy, but he was used in papers to announce the shortages due to wartime, such as like sugar and bread. And the caption every time would be WOT, what? And then comma, no blank. So it'd be like, what? No sugar? What? No bread?
That's hilarious. Wait, and he's a real person?
It's not a real person.
Oh,
it's like a cartoon.
Oh, okay.
It was created by a real person.
I thought it was a real person that looked like that bald guy with the huge nose. Like, show me.
I did too. I was like, I can't wait to see this guy.
Oh, I'm sure there are plenty of guys who look like that.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know what George Chatterton looks like. That's a good question. We could look him up, but I don't think, from what I read, he was not modeled after any specific person. And so historians believe that American soldiers interacting with the British soldiers picked up this Chad cartoon, the picture, and just edited the caption to the already known and popular phrase of Kilroy was here. And it made it really easy for it to replicate and for them to remember, which is like one of the cornerstones of a meme is the replication. Mm-hmm. And the second image that I'm talking about before Mr. Chad. So Mr. Chad had a dad, and Mr. Chad's dad was named Foo. Foo was a popular graffiti guy during World War I amongst Australian soldiers. And Foo was a guy who was looking over the wall, and the caption was, "Foo was here." And historians believe that Chad and Kilroy are direct evolutions of Foo, but Foo was a little bit different than Chad and Kilroy. He didn't always have this long nose that we see in every single Kilroy was here picture, and he was often drawn with a smile. So that kind of lacks the mystique of how Kilroy is just kind of peeping or peering over the wall. It makes Foo much more friendly, I think. Here are two pictures of Foo.
Oh, yeah, he's just a smiley face.
Yeah, on a wall. He's not always grasping the side of the wall. Mm-hmm. It looks like he's just kind of peeping over the side.
Yeah, and in the first picture, he is peeking over the wall, and he has a nose, and it looks like exactly like the Kilroy one, but a smaller nose.
Mm-hmm. So you can see how they're just kind of like extensions of Foo. And that is the story of Kilroy was here. So here's how they think, historians and scholars think that this was the first meme. It is an image, there's text connected to it, and it is spread by people. So it may not be over the internet, but it was spread in like real physical ways. And Kilroy was here has appeared in pulp culture ever since. There have been movies referring to it. There's been songs. The Styx wrote a song, and you may have even seen it in a bathroom near you. So that's all I've got on the first meme ever. My sources are the Britannica page for meme written by Kara Rogers. Kilroy was here may have been the very first meme, and it all started in a World War II shipyard. That's on ranker.com by Zach Sime. A YouTube video by Weird History called How Kilroy Was Here was the first meme ever, and the World War II meme that circled the world by Vox on YouTube.
Well, that was a fun little learning journey. Thank you, Hayley.
You're welcome.
Let's hear a word from our sponsor, and we'll see ya.
Can I just add, I might cut this in, but do you remember like in the 90s at least, like everyone would draw those S's?
Yeah.
And it reminds me of something.
That was not the 90s, was it?
Yeah, it was. That is considered a meme as well. They still don't know the origin of like the first person who ever did
of
that.
The S? Yeah. Because it just something about the way you would draw that Kilroy guy seems like something that it like has enough depth that it looks kind of cool to draw, but it's also very formulaic and that you can repeat it. And it just seems like something that like anybody can draw, but it also kind of looks cool and has depth.
Okay, well, now that you're saying that, I feel like I have to include this part that I wasn't going to include in my lesson because I didn't feel like I could teach it well enough without a visual thing, but it's kind of hard to tell between it, like it's kind of like a chicken and egg scenario. But there was this professor, and I believe it was like Britain or something like that, who was teaching engineering students, and they were talking about electricity and power, kind of like AC DC power, and they were drawing, I don't even know what it was, but they were making a graph of like electrons, and they don't know if Foo originated from this graph or if the graph was inspired by these characters, but basically it's on a graph, it's a straight line, and then some ups and downs that are like the fingers on either side of the graph, and then in the middle it goes up, and there's a plus sign for positive and an O for like negative, I don't know, electricity. I can't explain it very well. And then there's another part, and it looks just like the faces of these Kilroy characters, and like the S, like you're right, it is something very formulated that it seems about how it's created.
Yeah.
So that's a little extra. That did a terrible job explaining
No,
that.
that's
I could
cool,
picture
yeah.
it. Yeah, that's so
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, it's cool and it's interesting. There's just some theories about it, nothing super concrete, and I didn't feel like I could give it super justice, but that's what we did, just flying off the hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. But like that thing you showed me, the foo guy, I mean, I feel like how could it not come from that? It looked exactly like him. Right?
Yeah, everything else came from Fu,
Oh.
but we don't know if this professor like made this thing that looked like Fu.
That then inspired Fu.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, or if it was, we don't know where it
Okay.
came from.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can find this. Let me fast forward in this video and you can see the picture of this graph that I'm talking about.
There needs to be a name for that subset of memes that are like things you would put on a notebook or in a bathroom stall that
Yeah,
are just
girly
a
memes.
symbol,
Yeah.
like a commonly spread cultural symbol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think of another one like the S. Can't think of anything.
Okay, it didn't initially have this caption, but you see how it's
yeah,
like,
it does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it looks exactly like it.
I know, right?
Weird.
So, yeah, it's basically a circuit with a negative and plus sign that looks exactly like the Kilroy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. And he's winking.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
That's
Wink, wink.
super interesting.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Weird.
So-
it's a mystery.
Check it out. Sorry, I don't have a visual output for everyone listening right now to see, but
Yeah, check out
Google it.
Instagram.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
on Instagram if you remind me.
Can you throw it to the commercial again?
Yeah, let's hear a word from our sponsor and we'll be right back. So it's a new year, new me. I'm getting like pretty tired of being in quarantine and like looking like shit all the time. So I like cleaned out my closet. I got some new clothes. I'm trying to put a little more effort in, you know? So what's been perfect for me is the Ralphie and Alice pop stick. It goes on like a chapstick. It looks like a chapstick. It feels like a chapstick, but it's got a little tint to it. Makes you feel put together without even trying.
I could not agree more. It gives me that little added oomph. I could throw that on, have my mascara put on my eyebrows, maybe, and call it a day. Just like you said, it feels nice and smooth on my lips, but it gives me that natural glow. Your eyes just go to my lips. And I love when people look at my lips.
Yeah, it's that kind of like a lip tint where it doesn't look like you're trying. Like you just like went down a ski slope and your face is flushed. Like you're just a little extra like pink.
Who's that girl? Who's that redness? Beautiful stuff on her lips. I honestly feel like it's one of the best relationships I've ever been in.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It's always there for me. It gives me variety, keeps things interesting, and it's good for me.
Huh. Hey, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I'm glad that it's working like that for you. I mean, I like it, but
Well, I love it.
That's amazing. Well, I'm really happy for you, Hayley. And if you also want to be in the best relationship you've ever been in, you can go to ralphieandalice.com and use our promo code NIGHTCLASSY, no spaces, just the name of this podcast, for 15% off your order.
Kiss, dry lips, goodbye.
Mwah. Hey.
Hey.
Welcome to my classroom, and I want you to put on your seatbelt and buckle up, bitch, because I got 7.5 pages.
All right, roll them out.
This one's a big boy. I'm going to start by citing my sources because there's a lot of them. So I have a genmedium.com article by Jules Evans, a New York Times article by Maria Kramer, bluestemprairie.com, Southern Poverty Law Center, runestone.org, Wikipedia, a National Geographic article called Decoding the Hate Symbols Seen at the Capitol Insurrection by Kristen Romy, which was sent to me by our lovely listener and Patreon donor, Dicey, NorseMythology.org. I'm citing a blog called Cassavir Amongst the Gods, but I just read the blog to help me understand a word. I also have godsandradicals.org and a Vice article called Racists Are Threatening to Take Over Paganism by Sarah Lyons.
Yay! All right.
So we're going for it. And if you haven't, I'm sure my sources kind of gave away this topic, but I want to set the stage by I feel like we have a tendency as people in a liberal bubble to think of conservatives, especially the alt-right and neo-Nazis, as these fundamentalist Christians or just like super Christian. I don't know. I feel like I always tie Christianity to the alt-right and quote unquote family values and all those kinds of things. But what I didn't realize until recently, and what I think very few people in our bubble realize, is that there's another side of the coin to this white supremacist movement. And that is alt-right and white supremacist pagans and witches. That is what this lesson is going to be about.
Wow.
Hayley was just making quite a face. It was fun. Her eyes got wider and wider.
Yeah, is this news to you? Because this was news to me.
Oh, yeah. News to me for sure.
It's not something you're exposed to on a daily basis.
Yeah, I thought if you're like, where the witches at? I'd be like, on the left.
It was like alt-right, paganism, witches.
Yeah, we're gonna go there today.
They are layers.
Yes, much like an ogre. So I also want to put in a trigger warning. This lesson, again, it's on white supremacist paganism. So, there's going to be white supremacist and neo-Nazi mentions and information. Also, there will be a few times where I quote hate speech. So please, if this triggers you, go ahead and skip this lesson.
I'm sorry. I did not mean to laugh during your trigger warning. Thank you for that trigger warning. And I was laughing.
You laughed during the trigger warning, Hayley?
I was zoning out and I realized that you were giving a trigger warning.
Okay.
And the reason why I was laughing is because Tommy recommended a what it takes to impeach a president lesson and next steps for impeaching Trump with where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I don't feel like doing something that heavy. And
well, I'm really glad we didn't have a double politics one, because we've gotten feedback on our listener survey, which is still up in our link tree if you want to take it. But people are saying I go to this podcast to escape. So when you do topics like the Proud Boys, it's good that you do that, but also not my favorite. And I get it. And I know that this is not something that a lot of people want to hear, especially now. I mean, I have no idea what's happening the day after the inauguration. I didn't really think about that would be what was happening when I chose this lesson topic, but I still think it's really interesting because it ties in a topic that I'm really interested in, which is paganism and Wicca, to something like politics. And this is a heavy topic, but we can laugh through it, I think, to an extent.
Sure, I'm willing to. And it's important.
Yeah, it's very, very important.
And I didn't know what the Proud Boys were before you taught that lesson.
Yeah, it's important to know what these groups are so you can recognize them when you see them. And that'll be kind of that's my thesis.
Great.
All right. So let's get into it. I'm going to start by defining what paganism is in case you're unfamiliar. So according to Wikipedia, quote, modern paganism, also known as contemporary paganism and neo-paganism, is a collective term for new religious movements influenced by or derived from various historical pagan beliefs of modern peoples. Paganism, it's basically a pre-Christian religion. I think in every a sect of this, it's polytheistic, I believe. And it's not one cohesive religion. It's a blanket term for people who draw their spiritual beliefs from this pre-Christian spirituality or mythology. Practitioners may sometimes call themselves heathen or Wiccan. There's, again, this is just a blanket term. People have all different kinds of ways they identify. But modern paganism can mostly be broken into two groups. There's eclectic paganism and Reconstructionist paganism. Eclectic paganism usually falls under Wicca. That's the main version of eclectic paganism. Wicca was introduced in 1954 and worships gods across all cultures. So it's kind of this amalgamation. And if you're a Wicca practitioner, you can, I believe, kind of pick and choose what texts you want to use, what gods you want to worship. I think it's a lot up to the interpretation of the person who's practicing it. And Wicca has been accused of cultural appropriation because they do draw gods from all different cultures, and I believe it's predominantly practiced by white people. So there is criticism, but there are ways to practice Wicca in a conscious manner of other cultures, and it is generally inclusive. So it has this criticism, but it's usually pretty inclusive, and most people who practice it tend to be pretty progressive. The founder of Wicca was conservative, but when Wicca came to the United States, it was really quickly adopted by 60s counterculture and wrapped in with second wave feminism. Since then, it's kind of been a part of like a staple of the left. It's generally practiced by people like us.
That's interesting how that transition happened. I wonder, do you have any more details or knowledge on?
I don't. This was getting so long. I try not to elaborate in too many places, but I think it was a way to rebel against your Christian parents by becoming a witch. I think that pretty much sums it up.
The best way, in my opinion.
And I think that's still in a lot of ways that it's used. Of course, if you're Wiccan, you can practice magic and do spells and make potions, which is very appealing to a lot of people. And then, of course, there's the spiritual element where you worship various deities. And so we have this eclectic paganism. On the other side is reconstructionist paganism, which seeks to reconstruct the religion of specific groups of ancient people. So basically you find an old religion and you find the old texts and you try to adhere to this old religion the way it was practiced when it was popular. And usually people do this with Egyptian religion or with Nordic religion. Those are the two most popular ones to do. And there's a ton of branches of this because, of course, there's no one Egyptian religion or one Nordic religion. But the two main branches, at least of Nordic religion, are Asatru and Odinism. And Odin is a Nordic god. And so there's a cult that worships, not like a cult in the way we might be thinking of it, but the worship of this god. And then there's Asatru, which is a different thing. They also worship Odin and just the gods of the Nordic people. And again, I'm not a pagan and I don't know much about Norse mythology. So I'm sorry if I'm butchering any of this. There's a lot of information here. And so I didn't have time to do a deep dive in all of it. Please feel free to jump in my DMs and correct me if I say anything wrong. But Norse paganism, there's a lot of people who this really appeals to. And there are people who practice Norse paganism and there's no issues. It's great. But this brand of paganism is especially notorious for harboring racists and having racist ideology tied around it. It's kind of thought of as this purist white religion of, Nordic people, which are the whitest people on earth. So it has some issues. And there is this large and growing alt-right paganist movement based around this Nordic paganism. And of course, based on the supposed superiority of the white race. And this movement has actually been going on for longer than I thought, for a few hundred years.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Before I get too far into all the shitty stuff, I want to make it really clear that paganism is in absolutely no way inherently racist or violent. Most pagans reject the beliefs I'll be covering, so I don't want anyone to automatically associate racism with any sort of paganism in any way or think that I'm anti-pagan or witchcraft, because I absolutely am not. But, there's a little bad in everything, and I think you have to know where to look for it.
Yeah. One time my dad was making that comparison and he's like, what if you made brownies and then there was just a little bit of dog shit in those brownies? You still gonna eat the brownies?
Yeah.
That wasn't the exact comparison that he was making with all good things. There's a little bit of bad, but it just reminded me of dog shit and brownies.
Yeah. And I don't want to say that these white supremacist sects are ruining paganism as a whole, because they're not. But just like anything, there's some people that take it in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
You give paganism a bad name.
Yeah. But, in light of the recent terrorist attack on the Capitol, I think we could all use some education, especially because one of the most visible attackers on the Capitol was the QAnon shaman. Do you remember him?
No.
What? He was the guy with the fucking goat horns covered in tattoos.
I didn't know
Yeah,
he
he's
was
not known as a QAnon shaman, is he?
Well, yeah.
No. Not to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Really? Oh,
I know who you're talking about when you describe what he looks like. But
okay. I feel like I've just been seeing articles about it everywhere, but maybe that's just my fucking algorithm from doing shit like this. so yeah, the fucker with goat horns, he's known as the QAnon shaman, and his name is Jake Angeli. He's known by a different name in some sources. I don't really understand, but we'll call him Jake. He's 33 years old. He was previously in the Navy, and then he started getting into psychedelic drugs. He did like shrooms and peyote, typical shit, but he got way too into it. And he decided that he was a shaman, and he set up what he calls Starseed Academy, Enlightenment and Ascension Mystery School. He just decided to do that. And this school's business description reads, Starseed Academy creates leaders to the highest order, ! We help awaken, evolve, and ascend, ! Are you ready to be a leader? Are you ready to ascend? And its hours are 9 to 21 military time. And so, he's just on a lot of drugs. He also organized what he called a red pill party at an astrology store in Arizona and described himself on the Facebook invite as follows. Jake Angeli is a self-initiated shaman, energetic healer, ordained minister, public speaker, and published author. He is native to the Valley of the Sun. He means Arizona, and has worked in the behavioral health field for over 6 years and has walked the shamanic path for over a decade. During his shamanic path, he underwent over 90 hours worth of tattooing, wrote several books, influenced hundreds of lives, and spent endless of hours in deep trance states and meditation. He is a metaphysical warrior, a compassionate healer, and a servant to the divine creator God, and a terrible writer.
What?
Yeah.
And a terrible writer.
I added that.
Oh, okay. I see. I was going to say writes one Facebook post one time and regards himself as an author and writer.
No, but yeah.
This guy is to politics as Dr. Death is to medicine. It just seems like already from that description.
Yeah, he's a true... I don't know how to describe Jake Angeli.
Can I butt in real quick too?
Yeah.
Because you said he's the guy with the horns, but if people are listening to this in a couple years, he's the guy that stormed into the Capitol and stood on the speaker's seat wearing Native American garb, and his face was painted and he was shirtless.
I don't think it was Native. He was dressed like a Viking.
I thought that was a Native American.
Maybe it was a Native American bear skin or
I just remember
on
fur.
his head. Yeah, he was wearing fur on his head and Viking horns. Maybe it was a Native American headdress. Yeah, maybe it was buffalo horns. From what I've seen, he has a lot of Norse tattoos and refers to him as a Viking. So that's what I thought it was, but I totally could be wrong. He could have he appropriates all kinds of shit. So
I was just giving context for people who don't know who the guy with the horns is.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yes. Very smart. I always forget that people might listen to this not right now. So again, I don't really know how to describe Jake Angeli, but let's let him describe himself again. In a podcast interview, he was introduced as, quote, Yellowstone Wolf, aka Jake Angeli, whichever you prefer, has walked the shamanic path for 20 years and has numerous paranormal and UFO experiences. He has also defeated dark demonic forces, held sacred ceremonies, cleansed ecosystems, not sure what that means, and liberated minds.
Wow. Imagine having all those powers and withholding it from other ecosystems and other minds.
Imagine having all those powers and your claim to fame is a terrorist attack and shoving your way into the Capitol building.
Imagine being delusional and to the point that your country and other people and citizens in your country get behind you to storm the Capitol.
Yeah, he's just completely delusional. He calls himself a shaman, but I'm a little confused because posts on his Facebook page have all these references to God and Jesus. I don't really know. It's unclear exactly what he believes. And I definitely wouldn't call him a pagan. It doesn't seem like he has any kind of organized belief system. But he does have these Norse pagan tattoos. So he's appropriating these symbols and making them visible in an environment like a alt-right terrorist attack. Judging by his Facebook, he's been like really conservative for a while, but was sucked deeply into QAnon in recent months. Posts, and if you need to know what QAnon is, Hayley did a whole lesson on it in a previous episode. Posts on his Facebook page like preach QAnon theories, like the existence of an elite pedophile ring. I think in one post he said pedophilia was like the biggest threat to the United States or something like that, which I agree, it's terrible, but like there's not. Whatever.
There's no
theories.
Evidence of Democratic political leaders molesting children
and drinking their blood.
Yeah. That's a bit much.
That's a bit much. He also like mixed into the crazy QAnon stuff, has like typical like far right rhetoric that's like pro Trump and pro firearms, which of course landed him at the Capitol. Overall, he just kind of seems confused and erratic. He definitely does not seem like a well-adjusted human being. And like he'll also post things on Facebook that like the things that are like repost for a blessing.
Oh my God.
So, he's not the most intelligent.
That's like the stuff like bless my grandfather's heart, but my grandpa posts stuff like that. It's like 3 paragraphs worth of like, if you love someone with cancer, like then you'll do this, like, share, comment.
Right. You don't love your mom unless you post this. Like those kind of things.
And then it's like an ultrasound of a baby.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And like that makes sense for your grandpa, but like this guy's 33. He should know better. He should know what a meme is and what not to post on Facebook.
It's different.
He also describes himself as on the internet as a voice actor, but like I don't think he's actually ever been in anything. He just...
If he's a voice actor, I'm a fucking voice actor too.
Right. It just seems...
It's romantic. If you're a bird, I'm a bird.
Yeah.
If you're a voice actor, I'm a voice actor.
Same. And, he kind of just like seems like he craves attention, craves fame, like saying he's a voice actor, making this school. I don't know, but he definitely got the fame and attention that he wanted on January 6th when he became the face of a terrorist attack and made headlines. He's been in headlines recently. Have you seen this? He has been refusing to eat in jail. He's on an all organic food diet because he's a shaman. So I don't know what that means or why you have to eat organic food as a shaman. Like vegan would make more sense to me, but it didn't say vegan. It said organic. So for 5 days yeah, I don't know, man.
Okay.
So for like 5 days in jail, he refused to eat, and then the jail caved and said they'd feed him organic food.
Wait, so when was he in jail from the Capitol attack?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Then
Sorry, I forgot to specify.
Okay.
Yes, he was arrested for attacking the Capitol. So we don't know exactly what he is. He doesn't seem to identify as like, I'm a pagan and this is my belief system. But like he does have these Norse tattoos that are associated with paganism. And this like Jake has kind of brought some new attention to alt-right paganism. And there's been some articles coming out about that. There are several organized churches in the US and European countries and Australia that can be identified with alt-right or white supremacist paganism. I just want to talk about one of them because this is a huge topic. So we're going to zoom in on the Asatru Folk Assembly. And the Asatru Folk Assembly recently made headlines when a small town of Murdoch, Minnesota recently granted them a permit to open a church in the town. Have you seen these headlines?
No.
Okay, this has become a big story recently, which actually is what brought this to my attention in the first place. The Asatru Folk Assembly identifies itself as an organization for, quote, ethnic European folk. So they openly do not allow any people of color to join.
Yikes.
Yeah. And I read somewhere, I don't remember which source this is in, and I don't have it in my notes, but they used to have a Facebook page that has since been taken down. And if you wanted to join their Facebook page, you had to have a profile picture so that they could see that you were white before letting you join. Yeah. So they are very open about...
So they just want to be racist in the guise of religion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically. And like, we'll talk a lot about them. And they call themselves, quote, native pre-Christian spirituality.
Native to where?
Europe.
Okay. Oh,
and
right,
that's the
right,
fucked up thing about these groups. They treat white people as if it's like one culture, like as if you go zoom back in time, like white people were somehow united, where it's like the opposite. Like back then it was very much divided into like it makes no sense to identify like whiteness as its own culture. And because we'll talk about the arguments of these people, but like I just want to highlight how ridiculous it is to, okay, if you're white you can join, but like they're saying they call themselves just like a pre-Christian European spirituality. There was no pre-Christian European spirituality. Like people did not intermix much, especially the common people that practiced religions. Like it just makes absolutely no sense. It's just a total cop out to hide their, not even to hide their racism, to justify their racism.
You can't make it make sense.
I can't even try.
There is pre-Christian religion.
Yeah, I didn't say there wasn't.
Oh, okay. You said there's no such thing as pre-Christian spirituality.
No, if I said that, I didn't. I said that I meant there was no such thing as like one European pre-Christian spirituality when there was hundreds of them.
Gotcha.
And they're separate. And you can't just put a blanket over it and say like we're a European pre-Christian spirituality when there were tons of different ones. Whatever. We're going to move on.
That's just them being racist in 2020.
That's exactly what it fucking is. So they have been declared as a white supremacist hate group by other pagan organizations and, of course, by the Southern Poverty Law Center. The group has about 500 members nationwide. And, you know, in this small town of Murdoch, they bought a Lutheran church for $45,000. So the city granted them this permit to open their church in the town. And they say they were forced to give them this permit because of legal protections that forbid governments from using land regulations to like keep people from practicing their religion. So basically like the people in the town were pissed that they were trying to get a church. So they went to the mayor and the city council and they're like, why don't you zone this church as residential property so that they can't open a church there? But the mayor said that like, you can't do that because like technically they're a church and changing its zoning to prevent them from building their church would be illegal. It seems like a, you know, kind of a cop out because this is a hate group. I guess like you could call them a church, but they're not. Like they're more of a hate group than they are a church.
Yeah. Okay. I have no idea how like registering to put a church on land works, but it seems like if you think that there is any possibility that the church is a hate group, that you could be able to register them under something other than a fucking church.
Right. And, you know, like that's what people in the town were saying. Mayor Craig Kavanaugh said the decision was, quote, strictly a zoning issue and the council felt it needed to legally abide by. But I went on Reddit and people were saying that like this is kind of a cop out because you can argue on either side of the law. But like they're like, who's more likely to sue us, the townspeople or this organization? And so, you know, they didn't want to get sued by the organization. They're little pussy ass bitches that just let this racist hate group have a church in their town. The town is like obviously very angry about this. They have made it clear at council meetings. There have been like anonymous letters and phone calls to the mayor that the people in the town do not want this church there. But as of right now, it seems like they're going to be able to establish their church.
So it's not built yet.
Well, it's built because they bought a Lutheran church, so it was already there. But I don't know for sure if they've started holding services.
Okay, so today, January 15th, 2021, we don't know if they've started service yet.
I'm not sure. I think these articles were all from like last week or the week before. So It's still kind of a mess right now, but they were granted the permit.
Okay.
People in the town are scared, obviously, especially the residents of color. It's a really small town. I think it has like just a few hundred people, but there is a small community of Hispanic people in town, and obviously they're really scared, and they have a very good reason to be. The Asatru Folk Assembly claims to be a revival of Germanic and Norse paganism. And here's a quote from their website. quote, Asatru is our native religion. It gave our ancestors comfort in millennia past, and it gives us strength and inspiration today. The word Asatru comes from Old Norse, the tongue of ancient Scandinavia, where it means those loyal to the gods. Since the ancient Scandinavian version of our religion is the best documented, it has given us much of Asatru's terminology and imagery. The soul of Asatru, however, is not confined to the Scandinavian model, but encapsulates the beliefs of all ethnic European folk. Indeed, Asatru reflects the deeper religiosity common to virtually all nations of Europe. Again, like there was no one spirituality of Europe. Like it just, okay, like call yourself a Scandinavian religion, but then like anyone who's not Scandinavian can't, like, you know, like it's just, they're just saying, right, like if you're going to be exclusive, like exclude other white people, but like there's no such thing as like a white European cohesive culture. It's just blatant racism. They claim to be an amalgamation of all forms of European paganism, but you know, in other words, that's all white pre-Christian religion, which they don't really care about religion. Based on everything I read, like, again, they don't seem to have any focused or concrete beliefs. It was impossible for me to find any religious dogma or ritual or sacred texts. Like, they have nothing that I could see.
Gosh, freaking Jediism has more to their religion than this.
Right. Seriously. And like they have published some books. I didn't read them because you had to pay and like I wasn't going to give money to these people. But even on their website, there's like nothing that you can point to and be like, this is what they believe in, other than only white people can be part of our church.
Oh my God. Yeah. How is that not a red flag? If you're someone who's like thinking about joining this church or it like has a loved one who goes to this church.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a huge red flag to anyone like thinking critically about it. But I don't know.
But like, I feel like these people do feel like they're thinking critically. It's just like,
yeah,
it's like
I think,
washing.
And we'll get into it a little bit, what makes this appealing for certain people. But they don't really try to hide their racism.
Clearly, yeah.
Clearly, yeah. The Asatru Folk Assembly was formed in 1994 by Stephen McNallen, and he was a previous member of the Asatru Free Assembly, which was a very similar organization. When the Asatru Free Assembly ended, Stephen kept their teachings going by starting the Asatru Folk Assembly. And according to the Asatru Folk website, Stephen was inspired to create it. So it was he created it in 1994, and he was inspired to do this because of this theory called cultural Marxism. And he founded the church to be a, quote, solid spiritual force of our ethnic European folk and our European faith, which again does not exist. So what is cultural Marxism? The Southern Poverty Law Center says that this is a far-right anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that holds this belief that Jewish people have a secret plot to convince Americans that, quote, white ethnic pride is bad, that sexual liberation is good, and that supposedly traditional American values like Christianity, quote unquote, family values, and so on are reactionary and bigoted. So it's basically this idea that any type of progressionism or progression is like this conspiracy theory by Jewish people to like poison our society.
What?
Yeah.
The fuck?
Right.
It's how are we in 2021 and this is still going on?
Yeah, it's freaking crazy talk, but like people still believe this. And this theory was kind of born out of the political correctness of the 90s. In the 90s, people started to wake up and start like critiquing language and pushing people to be more politically correct, which of course we see a lot today. And it caused this huge like counter reaction and like, okay, like you're trying to move us forward. We're going to take you 10 steps back. In a 1991 speech, even President Bush referred to political correctness as saying like free speech is under assault throughout the United States.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like this there was a huge knee-jerk reaction on the right, and like President Bush is obviously no saint by any stretch of the imagination, but like he's still like a mainstream figure on the right. No, he's not alt-right by any means. And like he subscribed, like this was people everywhere were like having this reaction, and they still fucking are. Like this isn't an alt-right stance to lash out against political correctness. You see it friggin' everywhere, even on the left. Essentially, white people in the 90s were scared of losing their privileged place in society, which made them yearn for a revival of the past. This paganism, it's not really paganism, but it's like this ideal, like they're idealizing the past and like what the past looked like, which in reality, they're idealizing the supremacy of white people and the subjugation of women. MAGA. Yes. Yeah. Just in summary, this obsession with the old world and the old gods is not about valuing religion, but more about the desire to go back to, quote, the good old days before societal progress like, feminism and anti-racism. What novel ideas. Since founding the Ask True Folk Assembly, Stephen McNallen has just, gone on to say all kinds of things you'd expect someone like this to say. He believes in this idea called metagenetics. Have you heard of that?
No.
This is what I had to go to that blog for, because it's really hard to find what this means on the internet. You really have to do some digging. But basically, it states that, like, quote, there are spiritual and metaphysical implications to hereditary, and that we are thus a religion not for all humanity, but rather for one that calls on its own. And that's a quote from Stephen McNallen. Basically, what he's saying is that he believes...
Yes, please. What does it mean?
Right. It makes... That's... Like, I saw this quote and I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And then I had to go digging down this rabbit hole on the internet and try to make sense of it.
That Miley Cyrus song where she's like, what does it mean? What does it mean?
I don't know. I don't know that song.
Okay, sorry. Sorry for gracing your ears with my... She's like... I don't know if you actually want me to sing it, but like if I were to get more into it, she's like, what does it mean? What does it mean? What does it all mean? Now we have to find that song.
Yeah,
so
now we have to listen to it tonight.
I'll make it the outro.
So when I tried to understand this, this is this idea that religion and culture are biologically tied to race in our DNA. His idea is that only European descendants have a psychic connection to Norse gods.
That's so fucking stupid.
Right. It's so fucking stupid because, like, how is any random white person, like, more Norse than any other? Like,
have you ever heard of nature versus nurture?
Right. White people did not, like, originate in Scandinavia. Like, it just, like, what? So, but, like, this idea that somehow our race is tied to what religion we can practice is this stupid idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before starting the Ask the True Folk Assembly, he worked as a freelance journalist. In one piece published in the fall of 1994, he argued that the end of apartheid in South Africa would lead to a race war where whites would all be killed. This goes back to there's this idea that people still subscribe to, like, called like white genocide, which is completely made up and irrational. But people think that, if you have biracial children, eventually the white race will be like die out, and like A, who cares? But B, like a lot of people think that this is like some kind of master plan, and he did too. Like, he thought there was some kind of war on white people and he's trying to like protect his tribe. It's just so twisted and
no matter what questions you ask and however many questions you ask, I feel like the answer ends up being racism, because in my head, I was like, what does it matter if, we're all just different shades of brown one day? And then I was like, well, people want to keep white people in the world. And then it's like, oh, well, why does it matter if white people are in the world? It's
right. Because they're
racist.
Yeah. They're racist and they think somehow they're better. And, there's no rationalizing this. It just comes down
insanity.
To regular racism. Yeah. And so he also, no surprise, attended the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. McNallen is quoted saying, "It's no secret that it's my life's purpose to awaken European people from their sleep. This is why my heart beats. This is why I breathe."
Wow. That's sad.
Mm-hmm. And like I was saying, I went on the Ask the True Folk Assembly website because I really wanted an idea of like what their spiritual practice is like and what exactly they believe. Like what kind, like you go to church and like Jesus died on the cross for our sins. We're all forgiven. We have to follow the 10 commandments.
I gotta go. I don't want to figure out what they believe.
Right. But I was like, there's got to be something, right? There's got to be some kind of structure. From what I found, there's not. So,
they're just trying to get tax free.
They're trying to not have their white supremacist organization taxed. But the closest thing I could find was a list of bullet points, and I'm gonna read them. So the first one says the world is good, prosperity is good, life is good, and we should live it with joy and enthusiasm. We are free to shape our lives to the extent allowed with our skill, courage, and might. There is no predestination, no fatalism, no limitations imposed by the will of any external deity. The second one says, we do not need salvation. All we need is the freedom to face our destiny with courage and honor. We are all connected to our ancestors. They are part of us. We will in turn be part of our descendants. We are also linked to all our living kin, to our families, and to every man and woman rooted in the tribes of Europe. They are our greater family. We are connected to nature and subject to its laws. The holy powers often express themselves in nature's beauty and might. We believe that morality does not depend on commandments, but rather arises from the dignity and honor of noble men and noble women. We do not fear the holy powers or consider ourselves their slaves. On the contrary, we share our community and fellowship with the divine. The gods encourage us to grow and advance to higher levels. We honor the gods under the names given to them by our Germanic/Norse ancestors. We practice Asatru by honoring the turning of the seasons, the ancestors, the gods, and our folk in everyday life. And so in here we see a mix of like general pagan values where there's like God and nature. We don't need to follow any commandments. You're free to follow your own destiny. Things like that mixed in with weird European tribalism and saying that like all European descendants are somehow kin aside from all other people of the world. But there's not any reference to any specific god by name. There's no reference to any sacred text or like any indication of where these texts comes from other than saying they're Germanic and Norse.
Is it just like white people are God?
I don't.
Would you say, or
symbolically, I think yes, but they claim to worship like gods like Odin, but like they never name any of their gods. And you would think to a religious organization it would be important to like name some fucking gods.
I don't think they really are a religious organization.
I mean, they're clearly not, but they're trying to act like they are. And they're pretty much just appropriating European paganism to say that, to like bolster this narrative of divinely ordained white supremacy. And the alt-right has been appropriating Norse mythology for racist purposes for hundreds of years. This is not anything new, but it is expanding and becoming more organized. And we're seeing it more visibly at places like the attack on the Capitol with the QAnon shaman. The Nazis have done this. 19th century white nationalists have done this, appropriating these Norse symbols. And we keep seeing it going back to QAnon shaman Jake Angeli. We have his tattoos. He's got a tree of life that's in Norse tradition. It's the ash tree that's the center of the cosmos. He also has a tattoo of Thor's hammer. Thor is the god of thunder, and his hammer is said to be one of the most powerful weapons in existence. And he also has a Viking knot of the slain, which is usually associated with the cult of the dead or Odin, and Odin is a powerful war god. So a lot of these are kind of like symbols that allude to war and power, and that might be a reason why groups like this appropriate them. And then obviously their association with whiteness, being that it's like a old religion practiced by white people.
Yeah, it seems like it's like their strong man.
Yeah.
And that book, Unholy, I don't remember who wrote it, but she basically just, it's an analysis of why evangelical Christians have gotten behind Trump, even though he doesn't stand for any of their actual beliefs. She just talks about how much of a strong man, how he's like willing to stand up for like what he thinks is right, and how people just really attach to that and feel free to adopt it, and how you can just run with that, and how it evolves into storming the Capitol, I guess.
Totally. And like that idea of strongman and like the patriarchy is so entwined with things like evangelicalism that like that becomes really appealing. And that's actually a reason why people think that they're appropriating these symbols, is because of their association with Vikings, and therefore like violent masculinity and that same idea of the strong man. Also, because Nazis used symbols like the Viking Othello rune, they used it as a symbol for the Nazis, much like the swastika, but the swastika is much easier to recognize than the Othello rune. And so people in like these neo-Nazis groups will wear these Viking symbols to associate themselves with the Nazis, but like slide under the radar of everyone else. And if you're part of this in-group, you know what it means. So you can recognize your people, but other like the outside world doesn't, like they just see a rune.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's some number that the alt-right identifies with. I don't remember what it is, but it's like, if you see that, you need to GTFO. It'd be really helpful if I remembered what it was. It stands for something. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't remember. It's like the dates of something or something like that.
Yeah, 88 is the white supremacist numerical code.
And then
for Hail Hitler.
Yeah, 14 goes as something. Yeah.
14 words. We must secure the existence of our people in the future for white children. So 1488 or
1488. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, they use these symbols that not everyone knows to try to hide. And it's really important that we learn to recognize these symbols as well, because these people truly are dangerous. There was a member of the neo-pagan white nationalist group, the Wolves of Vinland, Maurice Mike Kelly, who spent 2 years in prison for burning down a black church in 2012. In 2017, 3 members of Asatru were arrested for plotting to start a race war. Also in 2017, quote-unquote Viking and white supremacist Jerry Christian was charged with stabbing 2 people to death in Portland.
My God.
Yeah. And so I think when we see things like alt-right paganism and someone wearing like horns covered in Norse tattoos, like there's a tendency for us to dismiss them as crazy or fringe, but like they are, or like zany, I don't know, but like they're a seriously violent threat. And it's important to, like, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. Like, we have to take these seriously. Racist groups have a history of downplaying themselves or using humor to fly under the radar. And if we think back to our Proud Boys lesson, they market themselves as drinking buddies who are just like goofing around with their friends.
Shooting the shit, hanging out, growing beards.
Yeah, but they're a violent hate group that like attempts to kill people. And same with the KKK. They have a history of dressing up as jesters to like try to, you know, like if you make a mockery and act like you're doing something goofy, people don't take you as seriously and you can get away with a lot more stuff. I also have in my notes gestures, ? Gestures. If you watch The Bachelor, you'll get it. But yeah, this cannot be ignored. Some pagans have made efforts to combat this type of ideology. There are advocacy groups like Heathens Against Racism and the Asatru Community. In 2016, 43 pagan organizations signed Declaration 127 and publicly renounced any heathen who practices hatred or discrimination. Since then, there's been a total of 180 organizations that have signed this declaration. Pagans worry, of course, that the alt-right paganism might draw more people into white nationalism. Like, it is really hard to convince someone to become a Nazi, but when you're bringing someone into a spirituality, that you're talking about heritage and ancestry, it's much easier to to bring someone into the same ideology as Nazis when you put some honey on it.
Oops, I slipped. I'm a Nazi now.
Right. And I mean, like, any educated person who, I mean, I don't even want to say any educated person, because I mean,
plenty of educated people have fallen into the alt-right.
Exactly. And I think, I'd like to think that most people would see through this, but of course there's a lot of people that don't. It's definitely easier to bring people to this side through something like a religion than saying, oh, you want to be a Nazi, That makes this kind of thing really, really dangerous. Pagans of color also worry that this kind of paganism will trickle into their own pagan communities and make them really unsafe, which is a very, very scary thing. It's just really important that neo-Nazi occultists and pagans are recognized for the threat they are and not just dismissed as crazy or attention seeking. And it's also important that we recognize that such extremists do not represent the vast majority of pagans. And this is something that is a threat to their communities and a true poison. I mean, my main takeaway from this was that, like, the alt-right can look like all different things. We have this picture in our head of what it looks like, but it can also look like this, or it can be hiding right in front of you. Like, there are people that subscribe to these beliefs everywhere, all around us, in our workplaces, in our family. And it's important that we do not turn a blind eye to it, no matter what it looks like.
Yeah, if you want a deeper look at that, there's a Reddit page, r/Q casualties, and it's all about people who have lost family members or people that they love to QAnon, to the alt-right. And sad to say it, but like, you don't know who could, like, it sounds so crazy when we're talking about it in your lesson, Kat, and like how overtly racist they are, and their beliefs are based in no actual spirituality or anything like that. But yeah, they're really good at, if there's any crack or, subtle questionable belief in your mind, just how, they can get anchored in.
Right. Yeah. Don't take anyone at face value. Make sure they state their beliefs to you, because, especially as white people, it's your duty to be very mindful and skeptical and ask important questions and have important conversations. And that was my learning journey. Thank you guys for taking this ride with me. I'm sorry to bring down the energy, but yeah, that's that on that.
That was an important lesson. Thank you for telling us the things to look out for. And I have more research of my own to do. I don't know about you all, but thank you for bringing several topics of research to light.
Yes, you're so welcome. Thank you for sitting through that. If you did, I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this, please help us out. We need your help. Please rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media. Tell a friend how much you love us, or maybe just like kidnap them in your car, driving to McDonald's, and play our podcast against their consent. No, ask them first, but strongly suggest that you listen to our podcast on the way. And join our Patreon if you really, really, really like us. We'd love to have you there. Thank you, though, so much for listening. And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.